Hello, everyone. Welcome to Barca News. It is December 21st, 2023, and today will be remembered as a historic day for football everywhere because the Grand Court in Europe has ruled that the Super League can launch and that UEFA and FIFA do not have a monopoly on football. In this video, I will explain to you everything that concerns that court ruling, the reaction to this court ruling, and finally, I will explain to you the new format that the Super League are currently proposing. We have a lot to discuss, so let's begin. Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Mo. As I've mentioned many times before, I'm currently out of the country on vacation for the holidays, so I haven't been able to do my daily YouTube videos in my YouTube studio, and instead I've been doing these short live streams to keep you up to date whenever I can. Now, having said that, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. If you are looking for any Barcelona jerseys or merchandise, make sure you hit the kit bag, and if you are looking for any sports bet to place any sports bets, make sure you hit the bet us. Both links for Kickback and BetUs are down below in the description. Now let's dive right into the subject of the video, which is the European Super League. This video will only be about the European Super League because today, December 21st, 2023, will be remembered as a historic day for football, not just European football, but football everywhere, because the court in Europe ruled that FIFA and UEFA do not have a monopoly on football and that other clubs could start their own competitions. And more importantly, that UEFA and FIFA cannot sanction other clubs for starting their own competitions, and that in doing so, they violated their European law. And this comes because, as I reported many times before, Barcelona and Real Madrid, along with 10 other founding clubs, decided to launch this new project called the European Super League, which would include 20 teams in a single league. 12 of them would be permanent members, which would be the best clubs in Europe. And after this project was announced, UEFA announced sanctions against the founding clubs. So 10 out of the 12 clubs ended up leaving, with only Barcelona and Real Madrid, the two remaining founding clubs. Now, both Real Madrid and Barcelona brought a lawsuit in the European court to challenge UEFA and FIFA. And while today the court issued a ruling in favor of the Super League, again, a ruling that UEFA and FIFA do not have a monopoly on football, that other clubs could start their own competitions, and more importantly, that UEFA violated European law in trying to sanction clubs when they started their own competitions. Now, as soon as this ruling was announced, the CEO of A22 Group, which is the group that's trying to launch the Super League, released a statement over Twitter, and this is what the CEO of A22 had to say. He said, "We have won the right to compete. The UEFA monopoly has ended. Football is free. Now the clubs will no longer suffer threats and sanctions. They are free to decide their own future. For fans, we are going to broadcast all Super League matches for free. For clubs, club income and payments in solidarity with football are guaranteed." Now, this is a huge announcement, not only because, of course, the CEO of A22 is telling us that now football is free because competition will be allowed. Clubs will be able to start their own competitions, and that UEFA and FIFA do not have a monopoly. But more importantly, the CEO of A22 here announcing that the broadcasting of these matches, of the Super League matches, will be free, which is a huge announcement for all fans of football. And of course, also announcing that the clubs that will participate in the European Super League will get their payments, and that it's guaranteed, which of course will help the finances of all the clubs involved. Now, as reported previously, Barcelona are set to receive 1 billion euros. Yes, you heard that correctly, 1 billion euros as a result of the launch of this competition. So as soon as this competition launches, Barcelona will receive 1 billion euros, which of course, given the situation of the club, it will completely resolve all the finances of the club. Barcelona will be able to pay off its debt. Barcelona will be able to go back to the one-to-one rule when it comes to signings. And more importantly, Barcelona will be able to compete with other clubs for the signing of big players in the transfer markets. Now, John Laporta also released a statement once this ruling was announced, and he said, FC Barcelona have thoroughly analyzed the problems of European football, and we think that it benefits clubs that enjoy unlimited profits and in some cases outside the world of football. For this reason, and in defense of our members, we believe that we must protect the sustainability of the club. We do not intend to go against national competitions. On the contrary, with more resources, they will be more competitive. What we want is a dialogue to generate positive synergies, but to enter into constructive debate. The resolution needed to be clarified. There is a monopoly situation, as we said, and we are facing a historic opportunity. So John Laporta welcoming this ruling by the court because, again, it ends the monopoly of UEFA and FIFA, which will allow more competition in football. And those who will benefit from this are not only the fans who will have more entertainment, but also the club themselves who will have more control of their finances, because up to this point, UEFA had total control of the profits of the competition, of European competitions. They decided everything, but now clubs will have more control over their destiny, more control of their finances, and this will allow smaller clubs to compete with bigger clubs. And it also will allow clubs like Barcelona and Real Madrid, who are owned by their members, to be able to compete with clubs like Manchester City, who are owned by nations pretty much and have unlimited access to resources to sign whoever they want. So by having these competition like the Super League, where Barcelona and Real Madrid would have more control of the finances, they would be more able to compete with these state clubs, as they are called. Now, of course, this ruling was not welcomed the same way by everyone. This ruling made upset a lot of people, including Javier Tebas, who on Instagram mocked the CEO of A22, calling him a drunk. Not surprising by Javier Tebas, who completely lacks any kind of class or manners. And of course, he did also say other things about the competition itself. And to be more specific, Javier Tebas said the Super League loses with this ruling. There is very little chance of it being held in 2025, 2026. The chance of establishing the Super League is zero. Now, Javier Tebas was not the only one upset by this ruling. Of course, the president of UEFA, Alexander Seferin, also did not like this ruling, and he also released his own statement saying they can create whatever they want. I hope they have a wonderful competition with only two clubs. I'm not sure if Barcelona and Madrid know what they are doing. Football is not for sale. We see the decision as an opportunity to improve some rules, but football remains united. That's why all stakeholders are talking together. Now, this tells you one thing. When you see people like Javier Tebas, like Alexander Seferin, people who've been in power, who have a monopoly over football, being upset, it tells you one thing, and is that the Super League is a real threat to them, and that is why they're so upset. And that's, of course, again, a good thing for football, because for the longest time, UEFA had total control over football in Europe. La Liga had total control over football in Spain. And of course, monopolies are not good for competition, and the fact that this court ruling just ended monopoly in football is a great thing, because it will allow more competition and will allow clubs to have more control over their future and their finances. And the total monopoly of these corrupt organizations has ended, and that is why these people are not happy. Now, this is a historic day, because even if the Super League fails, again, it's historic because the monopoly is over. Other competition might take the place of the Super League. The Super League does not succeed. Other competition could end up challenging the Champions League, and more competition, again, is better for clubs, because clubs have more control over their finances and over their futures. And even if no other competition arises, I think the way the Seferin has said it himself, that they're going to be re-examining the rules, that alone is a victory. So again, even if the Super League doesn't launch, even if no other competition launches, the fact that this ruling has been issued is going to force UEFA and FIFA to re-examine the rules, to re-examine the way to distribute revenue across the clubs. And that is only going to benefit clubs more, and is only going to benefit football as well. So again, historic day. Monopoly of UEFA and FIFA is over. Clubs will be able to start their own competitions. Club will have more control over their finances and futures. And even if the Super League does not launch, again, this is going to force UEFA and FIFA re-examine the rules and to re-examine the way to distribute revenue, which at the end, it all benefits the clubs, and it all benefits our club, FC Barcelona, which again, if the Super League launches, they will get 1 billion euros. Now, when the Super League project was first announced, there was a lot of skepticism about it because, again, it was supposed to be 20 clubs. 12 of them would be permanent members, which would be the best 12 clubs of Europe, the 12 biggest clubs of Europe. And that received a lot of backlash because a lot of people said this competition is only going to be exclusive to the big clubs, and that the small clubs would suffer from this because they wouldn't be able to participate in it. They wouldn't get money. Meanwhile, the biggest clubs would keep getting richer and richer. And while in order to combat that, A22 Group has announced a new format for the Super League, which now there will be no permanent members. Members will come and go just like the Champions League. Anybody can qualify. They also announced that there will be a female or a women's version of it, which, again, to make it more accessible not only to all clubs, but also to all women. So what's the new format? Well, I watched the video, I read the full article, and I have simplified it as much as possible to explain to you what the format of the new Super League is. But pretty much, and I'll make this bigger for you, the Super League will contain 3 different leagues. There's going to be the Star League, there's going to be the Gold League, and then there's going to be a Blue League. Now, the Star League will have a total of 16 teams divided into 2 groups of 8. The Gold League will have 16 teams as well, divided into 2 groups of 8. And finally, the Blue League will have 32 teams divided into 4 groups of 8. Now, the first stage would be the league stage, just like the Champions League, like the group stages, where a team in a group would play all the other teams in their group, once at home and once away. So each team will play a total of 14 matches, 7 at home, 7 away. It will be point-based. And then at the end of the league stage, that would go all the way from September to April, we would then have the top 4 teams of each group in the Star League, the top 4 teams of each group in the Gold League, and then the top 2 teams of each group in the Blue League. Those would qualify to the knockout stages. The knockout stages would start, of course, with the quarterfinals, one match at home, 1 match away. Winners go to the semifinals, 1 match at home, 1 match away. And then finally, there will be the final, just 1 match in a neutral ground. And then we would have the 3 winners, the Star League champions, the Gold League champions, and finally, the Blue League champions. Now, this pyramid or these 3 leagues will also have a promotion and relegation system where the 2 worst teams from the Star League would go down to the Gold League. The 2 top teams from the Gold League would go up to the Star League. The 2 bottom teams of the Gold League would go down to the Blue League. The 2 top teams from the Blue League would go up to the Gold League. And then in the Blue League, and this is the interesting part, of course, the Blue League will have 32 teams. 20 out of those 32 teams would complete, the worst 20 teams out of those 32 would exit completely the competitions, with new 20 teams taking their place in the Blue League. So very interesting format for the new European Super League, where there's going to be not only mobility in between all 3 tiers, but there's also going to be mobilities with clubs entering the competition, clubs exiting the competitions, clubs going from the blue to the gold, gold to the star, or star to gold, gold to the blue, or exiting. So there's going to be a lot of mobility between all 3 tiers and a lot of mobility between clubs leaving and entering the league itself. Now, the matches will be held midweek, kind of like the Champions League, so it's not going to affect domestic leagues. And the way those 20 teams, the way it will be decided which teams entered that competition or not, it will be based on their performance in their domestic leagues, kind of like the Champions League. But anyways, that is pretty much all the summary of the court ruling, the reactions to the court ruling, the new format of the Super League. Please let me know what you think about this new competition down below in the comment section. I will be doing another live stream pretty shortly with the news today. But first, I wanted to talk to you about this historic news of the Super League. But I will be uploading or doing another live stream in the upcoming hour with the FC Barcelona news. But I just wanted to talk to you about the Super League because, again, big day in football, historic day in football. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know down below in the comment section what your ideas are, and I will see you on the next live stream shortly. Peace, Barça.